Hello and welcome back to another episode here on The Weight Unfolded. My name's Izzy and today's episode is a reflection on the 7 episodes released so far. I picked 3 amazing answers from each episode and combined them into one special episode. A little look back at some of the best moments, conversations and memories we've created so far. So let's get into it. First up, we're going all the way back to episode 1 of The Weight Unfolded, where it all began. I sat down with my sister Eva to talk about her journey into pharmacy and the moments that shaped how she got there. We talked about what it's really like moving away from home, the pressure that comes with university exams, reconnecting with family after being apart, and how music and everyday life helped her through different stages. It was a conversation about growing up, finding your way, and remembering that everyone's path unfolds differently. So here are 3 moments from episode 1 that stood out. Moment 1. Why she got into pharmacy in the first place.
To be honest, I don't really know. I suppose you would know, Izzy, that our mum is a pharmacist. So I think growing up, I was always kind of interested in her role and in healthcare. I've always had an interest for people, learning about people and helping people. So, and I chat quite a lot, so I'm quite a chatty person. So, I just enjoy being around people, I think. And I was always kind of driven towards the healthcare field. So when I was younger, initially, when I was younger, I wanted to be a doctor. And then I tried to sit the HPAT, which is the exam for entry into medicine in Ireland, but I didn't get the points. So I said, what's the next best thing? And that was pharmacy. So I managed to get the points for pharmacy, and then I decided, why not go to Brighton, move across to England and do it there.
Moment 2. What would she be if she wasn't a pharmacist?
Oh, that's a funny question. So I don't actually know, to be honest. I don't know. I'm very science minded. I think, as in, like, I really enjoy science and the way the body works and everything. So probably a vet or something similar, but just with animals. I don't know. I feel like with people, the thing I love about people is the kind of empathy and kind of trying to understand how a person thinks or why they may be going through the emotions they're going through, and what makes a person who they are. And I think you can, when you're in healthcare or working in healthcare, you can really see a vulnerable side to people because they're sick, obviously. So I really enjoy just being there for people who are in that vulnerable part of their lives, and just making sure that they kind of have someone to kind of put all their worries and problems onto.
If she could play any instrument other than piano, what would it be?
I did try the violin in primary school, and I was we did it as part of this thing called Music Generation. I don't know if you did that, Izzy.
No.
Yeah, but we basically had to do this Music Generation thing for a few weeks, and we did the violin, and oh my God, I was shocking. I was so bad. There was something about the strings. I couldn't coordinate well with the strings. I don't know. So you will never see me with a guitar or viola or violin or whatever.
Next up is episode 2 of The Weight Unfolded, The Way We See Life, featuring Matthew, Sav, Emma, Jess and Max. This episode was all about honest conversations on life, identity, growth and perspective with no scripts, just real people sharing real thoughts and experiences. Here are 3 moments from episode 2 that stood out. Moment 1. Where do they feel they are in life right now?
I feel like right now I'm at the point in my life where I can see my goals and I just need the effort and the motivation to get where I can to achieve them.
Right now, I'd pretty much say that I'm in a solid spot in my life. Obviously, I didn't get the best grades at school. so I'm not doing something I'd want to do as a career. But I'd still say I'm in a solid part of college. I mean, I'm doing beauty, which is a hard industry to get into anyway. But it varies what you can do in the future. But I am hoping that I can do my dream course that I'm passionate about in September.
Moment 2. What was a moment that changed your perspective on life?
The moment that changed my perspective on life is when I was diagnosed with autism.
One thing that's changed my perspective on life is I had a friend open up to me about something that I didn't know was going on in their life, and it just showed me, like, I don't know what is going on in someone's life, but the minute they tell me, it just reassured me that I need to show respect no matter what, because I don't know what you're dealing with, and that small comment that I could make could really impact you in a negative way, and I don't want to affect you like that. So it just really helped me to understand the positive difference I need to make in this world.
Moment 3. What is something you would tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to not worry and not panic about, like, you know, the educational side of life, and just, like, you know, because you're going to get through it eventually and everything's going to work out fine, because your life is only just beginning at that point. Like, you're going to do so much better.
This is such a difficult one because the obvious answer that springs to mind for me is something like it gets better or it gets easier. But I've been at my lowest, and I know that that's not always the most helpful thing to hear, because you just want things to be okay now. You just want an instant solution. You just want things to get better now. So maybe what I would tell my younger self would be that there's nothing inherently wrong with me, and that my negative experiences don't define who I am, and that I will find the people out there who understand me and the world that I fit into. I think that would have been quite helpful.
Next up is episode 3, Inside Out, featuring Eleanor from Norwich. This episode takes us through a mix of lighter conversations and deeper reflections, from Eurovision art, hobbies and favourite songs, to Eleanor sharing her experiences with autism, school and personal growth. Here are 3 moments from episode 3 that stood out. Moment 1. How did she cope with unkindness or negativity in schools or in general?
Really not great. I remember actually I was very, very troublesome in school. And then obviously it was when I was 10 and I went to the school for autism. And I realized I was autistic. It was like, oh, okay, all that's up now. But I was very, very troublesome compared to most of my friends in my school before then. And I think there's a lot of unkindness in school, however old you get, at least for a lot of people. But I remember I was quite misunderstood in my 2 mainstream schools, because I remember there was one afternoon, for example, where I was on the playground, and I remember I think we were playing tag or something, and I think I was 8 or 9. Yeah. I was in year 4. And I remember this one girl, she went over to talk to one of her friends, but I think I was talking to her, and I remember I think I went to, like, grab her by the hair. Obviously I had no knowledge back then of how to like
Regulate.
socialize, how to I had no knowledge of things socially. I was 9 years old. I was like 8, 9 years old. And I remember I think I yeah, and then I ended up grabbing her jumper, and obviously she then sort of took a step back, like, whoa, like, I think I nearly pulled her over, bless her. But yeah, no, thankfully it wasn't too bad. It wasn't, I didn't cause her to have a big injury or something, but I was a little bit violent there, like, I could have just tapped her on the shoulder, but instead of just, pulled her back.
Moment 2. Did she do her GCSEs?
No, I didn't, because I went to a special school. from 2017 until 2021.
Mhm.
That was my last school, and they don't do GCSEs in special schools because the students there just wouldn't be able to cope with it.
3. If you could give your younger self some advice, what would it be?
I think probably stay calm. Go to a teacher. If you're upset about something, definitely don't deal with it in the ways that you did.
Add on, yesterday was Eleanor's 21st birthday, so I just want to say happy birthday, Eleanor. I hope you had a great day celebrating. Next up is episode 4, The Show Must Go On, featuring Jenny from Mullingar. This episode is a conversation about musicals, life with visual impairment, school, and finding your own way. Jenny shares her experiences, including the TY Lens programme with Vision Ireland, while also sharing some of her favourite songs. Here are 3 moments from episode 4 that stood out. Moment 1. How did Jenny get into musical theatre?
Well, I've been doing stage school in Mullingar since I was like 5 or something, like literally my whole life. And that's like shows and such in musical theatre and acting and all of that. So I've been doing that for a long time. And then I kind of started doing more shows as well because I joined like dance schools. Like we have 2 in Mullingar. Well, we have a good few in Mullingar, but I joined 2 of them. I joined the ballet school, and then I also joined Spirit, so we get to do a lot of shows like that. But in Mullingar, we get to do shows from stage school, which is now that I'm older, it's called youth theatre. And we also have like a student players organisation, and that's how we did Hadestown, and we did Having a Hot Tin Roof and stuff a while ago as well. So such like that. There's great opportunities in Mullingar.
2. What is Jenny's dream role or musical that she'd like to do?
I'd love to be Eva Prawn in Evita, I'd say. My sister did Evita when she was in TY, and I loved the musical. I'd love to be in Evita.
Moment 3. What are people like in school?
Well, people have been really respectful, but they don't really understand it, but that's okay. Because, like, I feel like they don't really need to. They just need to mind their business more than anything.
Yeah.
But everyone's been pretty good and respectful. There's obviously people, like, I probably will get looks if I'm, like, doing something, like taking pictures of board or something the first time. But people are used to it. Like, it's just Jenny, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People have been really nice, so that's good.
Next up is episode 5, This Little Light of Mine, featuring Jess from the UK. This episode is a conversation that starts with creativity and passions, from music and theatre to favourite songs, before moving into a more personal discussion about mental health and real-life experiences. Here are 3 moments from episode 5 that stood out. Moment 1. Do you think teens our age are more open about mental health now?
I feel like it weirdly depends on the area you're from, because I feel like where I'm from, like, so many people have to hide it because of the way our parents were, like our parents' ages. But if we're from a place where our parents are a lot younger and they relate to us a bit more, I feel like they can be more open about it because their parents understand, if that makes sense.
2. What do you think affects teen mental health the most?
I feel like school, personally, because school consumes so much of my life at the moment, and especially with this, like, all these GCSEs, like, everyone's like, at the moment for me, I've just done my year 10 mocks. They're like, oh, it's just mocks, it's not that big of a deal, why are you crying over it, it's fine. But then one of my best friends is doing her GCSEs right now, and they're all like, oh yeah, but it's just GCSEs, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, well, if it's not that big of a deal, why have you spent 5 years shouting at me, telling me it's the biggest moment of my life? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's very confusing at school, and no one explains it right, and then no one knows what's going on, and it's just, they need to sort school out, I can't lie.
Moment 3. Do you think schools do enough for student mental health?
No, I do not. I feel like they say what they think is going to help, but usually it doesn't. Like, I had this one teacher, and it was the first time that I'd said to anyone in school, like, oh, this is how I feel. And she was like, oh yeah, you need help. And I was like, oh, but I don't want help. And she was like, yeah, but you need it. And I was trying to say to her, I was like, there's something I want to say to you, but it sounds really depressing. So like, don't freak out. And she was like, it's fine, just say it. And I was like, I don't know if I should. And she like really pressured me to say it. And I said, I don't want help, I want to be dead. And she was like, that's really concerning, I'm going to write that down. And then she wrote that down and it's in my files. Everyone knows that I've said that. And I'm like, she could have written it down and said it's concerning, but the fact she told me, like, oh, that's really concerning, like, I feel like that kind of freaked me out. And for a while I was like, I can't speak anymore because I was scared people would look at the words on the page rather than listening to me.
Next is episode 6, Grow Up, featuring Lynx from the UK. This episode is an honest conversation about school life, GCSEs, exams, and what it really feels like to be growing up right now. Here are 3 moments from episode 6 that stood out. Moment 1. What was it like going to secondary school for the first time?
I was nervous because I had a new friend group and I wasn't sure how that was going to go.
Moment 2. When did GCSEs start feeling real?
When I had my first one, it terrified me.
So you wouldn't say it started at the mocks?
No. The mocks, just honestly, they just felt normal.
Moment 3. What are you going to miss most about secondary school life?
Probably my friends, because honestly, I don't know if I'm ever going to see some of them again.
Next up is episode 7, Understanding Trans Lives Today, featuring Robin from the UK. This episode is an honest and important conversation about identity, acceptance, and what it means to navigate the world while simply trying to be yourself. Robin shares his experiences and perspective on life as a trans person in today's society. Here are 3 moments from episode 7 that stood out. Moment 1. What is something that people may not know about you that you want them to know?
Probably that if I appear to be quite angry at people, it's often just, what's the word? It's me trying to hide my true colours.
Masking, yeah.
Masking, yeah. It's just me masking and trying to get through the day at school.
Moment 2.
Looking back at your childhood, were there moments where you felt different from how others saw you?
I think there were. It's quite difficult to tell the difference between what could have been gender and what could have been neurodivergence, as I'm probably also autistic. But there were little things like I really remember very clearly asking my parents when I was like 4 or 5, why can girls wear skirts and trousers, but boys aren't allowed to wear skirts? And that's such a vivid memory.
Yeah.
What other things were there? Another weird thing is a lot of girls went through a non-pink phase, but I never actually went through that, which is really interesting. Because pink's such a sign of femininity, so surely you'd think I'd be rejecting that. But no, I didn't really mind it.
Moment 3.
When did you first begin questioning your gender identity?
It was probably around the end of halfway through year 8, I would say. But then so that was 2 years ago. But then it only started to be more of a thing and more apparent halfway through year 9. So more of a year ago, I'd say, is when I properly started thinking, oh no, I'm not a girl. What am I going to do about this?
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of this special episode of The Wet and Folded. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening back through these moments with me. It's been a mix of conversations, stories, laughter, and honesty from the first 7 episodes, all in one place. It's been really interesting to look back and see how much has already unfolded in such a short space of time, and how every episode has added something different to the bigger picture. Thank you to everyone who's been part of the podcast so far, whether you've been a guest, sent in answers, or just listened along. It genuinely means a lot. And as always, dreams unfold in many ways. Keep dreaming and don't give up. I'll see you in the next episode. Ciao for now. Bye.